Everyone wants a life without pain, a life without betrayal, rejection, disappointment, or loss. But the truth is that pain is unavoidable. No matter who you are, life will eventually test you. The real question is not whether pain will arrive. The question is whether it will control you. Most people believe their suffering comes from other people, from the words they hear, the actions they experience, the things that happen to them. But psychology suggests something different. Two people can experience the exact same event and feel completely different levels of pain. Why? Because events do not create suffering by themselves. Meaning creates suffering. The story you tell yourself about what happened often hurts more than the event itself. A harsh comment lasts only seconds. But a mind that repeats that comment for years can turn a moment into a lifetime of suffering. The wound is no longer coming from the outside. It is being recreated from within. This realization changes everything. Because if your interpretation creates much of your pain, then changing your interpretation changes your experience of reality itself. The strongest people are not those who avoid being hurt. They are the ones who refuse to remain wounded. They understand that healing begins when responsibility replaces blame. Blame feels powerful in the moment. It gives you someone to point at, someone to accuse, someone to hold responsible. But blame also keeps your future tied to your past. The moment your happiness depends on someone else's apology, you give them power over your peace. And many people spend years waiting for closure that never comes. True freedom begins when you stop waiting. Not because what happened was acceptable, but because your life is too valuable to remain trapped by it. Most emotional pain survives because it is constantly revisited. The mind replays old conversations, old betrayals, old failures, as if reliving them enough times will somehow change the outcome. But the past does not change through repetition. Only your present is sacrificed. Every moment spent reliving yesterday is a moment stolen from today. Carl Jung believed that what we refuse to confront eventually controls us. The emotions we avoid do not disappear. They wait beneath the surface, influencing our decisions without our awareness. Many people spend their entire lives running from uncomfortable emotions. Yet the strange paradox is that what you resist often persists. What you face often begins to lose its power. Think about fear. The more you avoid what frightens you, the larger it becomes in your imagination. The less you avoid it, the smaller it appears. Pain works in a similar way. Ignored wounds rarely heal. They simply hide, and hidden wounds often shape your life more than visible ones. Most people believe strength means never feeling pain. But true strength is feeling the pain completely and still refusing to let it define you. Strength is not the absence of emotion, it is the mastery of it. The people who hurt you are often fighting battles you cannot see. Their actions may come from insecurity, fear, jealousy, or unresolved pain. Understanding this does not excuse their behavior, but it prevents their behavior from poisoning your peace. One of the greatest mistakes people make is taking everything personally. In reality, most people's actions are reflections of their own inner world rather than accurate judgments of yours. An insult often reveals the character of the speaker more than the value of the target. Yet many people spend years carrying opinions that never deserved space in their minds. Imagine carrying a heavy stone everywhere you go. Eventually it would exhaust you. Resentment works the same way. The longer you carry it, the heavier it becomes. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. It is not saying what happened was acceptable. It is deciding that your future matters more than your anger. Some people will never apologize. Some will never understand the damage they caused. Waiting for them to change may keep you trapped indefinitely. Healing begins when you stop asking why someone hurt you and start asking how you can grow beyond it. Life becomes lighter when you stop trying to control things beyond your reach. Other people, their opinions and their choices belong to them. Your response belongs to you. This simple distinction separates peaceful people from miserable ones. One group focuses on what they can control. The other spends their lives fighting reality. Many of the things that disturb us have not actually happened. They exist only in our imagination. We suffer over future scenarios that may never arrive. Fear is often a prediction, not a reality. The mind imagines the worst possible outcome and reacts as though it is already occurring. This is why awareness is so powerful. The moment you recognize a thought as a thought rather than a fact, it begins to lose its grip. Your mind is an incredible servant, but a terrible master. If every thought is automatically believed, your emotions will constantly control your life. Peace begins when you realize you do not have to follow every thought that enters your mind. Some thoughts deserve attention, others deserve to be ignored. Confidence is not believing that nothing bad will happen. Confidence is knowing that you can handle whatever happens. The strongest people do not trust the world to be fair. They trust themselves to adapt. This makes them difficult to break because their stability comes from within. Every hardship you survive becomes evidence. Evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. Evidence that you can endure more than your fears suggest. When you look back at your life, you will likely discover that many of the moments you feared most never happened, and many of the challenges that did happen made you stronger. Pain can be a teacher or a prison. The difference depends on whether you learn from it or live inside it. The easiest person to control is the one who desperately needs approval. If your happiness depends on being liked by everyone, your behavior will always belong to someone else. Many people spend years changing themselves to fit expectations. They hide opinions, suppress desires, and ignore instincts. Slowly, they become strangers to themselves. Freedom begins the moment you accept that not everyone will understand you. Some people will judge you no matter what you do. Their opinion is not your responsibility. The desire to be universally accepted is impossible to satisfy. Even the most admired people in history faced criticism, rejection, and misunderstanding. When you stop chasing approval, something unexpected happens. You become more authentic, and authenticity often attracts more respect than perfection ever could. Manipulative people depend on predictable reactions. They know exactly which buttons to press, because most people reveal those buttons openly. The moment you become less reactive, manipulation loses much of its power. A calm mind is difficult to influence against its own interests. This is why emotional control is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It protects you from impulsive decisions that create unnecessary suffering. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Sometimes silence communicates strength more effectively than words ever could. People often mistake silence for weakness. In reality, silence requires tremendous discipline, especially when you have the ability to react but choose not to. There is a difference between being silent because you are afraid and being silent because you are in control. One comes from weakness, the other comes from power. Every time you refuse to react emotionally, you strengthen a part of yourself that grows stronger with practice. Like a muscle, emotional resilience develops through repetition. Life becomes simpler when you stop trying to win every battle. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Not every challenge deserves your attention. Your attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Wherever it goes, your life follows. Spend it carefully. Many people waste years focused on things they cannot change. Meanwhile, the things they can change remain neglected. Imagine investing all your energy into becoming stronger, wiser, healthier, and more disciplined. How much of your current suffering would remain important? Growth has a strange effect. The more you evolve, the smaller certain problems appear. Issues that once consumed your mind begin to lose significance. A person who is building a meaningful future has little time to obsess over minor conflicts. Purpose naturally reduces unnecessary drama. The most dangerous trap is allowing temporary pain to become a permanent identity. What happened to you is part of your story. It is not the entire story. You are not your failures. You are not your heartbreaks. You are not the mistakes you made years ago. Those experiences shaped you, but they do not define you. Many people carry old versions of themselves long after they have changed. They continue believing limitations that no longer exist. The mind often clings to familiar identities because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Yet every major transformation requires letting go of who you used to be. Growth is not adding something new. Often it is removing what no longer belongs. Old fears, old beliefs, old stories that keep you trapped. The person who hurt you may have influenced your past, but only you can decide whether they influence your future. There comes a moment when healing stops being about understanding what happened and starts being about deciding what happens next. Every sunrise presents a choice. Continue carrying yesterday or begin building tomorrow. The choice may seem small, but repeated daily, it changes everything. The strongest individuals understand that peace is not found in perfect circumstances. It is found in the ability to remain centered despite imperfect circumstances. Storms will come, disappointment will come, loss will come. But if your foundation is built within yourself, you remain standing when others collapse. True confidence is quiet. It does not demand attention. It does not seek validation. It simply exists, independent of external approval. And when you reach that point, something remarkable happens. The things that once hurt you begin to lose their power, not because the world changed, but because you did. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort, yet every meaningful transformation begins with discomfort. The moment you stop running from it, you discover that much of your fear was only an illusion. Think about the hardest moments of your life. At the time, they felt unbearable, yet here you are, still standing, still moving forward, stronger than you were before. Pain has a strange way of revealing what truly matters. It strips away distractions and forces you to confront reality. In doing so, it often teaches lessons comfort never could. The people who become unshakable are not protected from suffering. They simply learn to use suffering as fuel rather than allowing it to become a burden. Every challenge contains two possibilities. It can weaken you or it can strengthen you. The event itself does not decide. Your response does. This is why two people can experience the same hardship and emerge completely different. One becomes bitter, the other becomes wiser. Bitterness keeps you attached to the past. Wisdom helps you build the future. One steals your energy, the other multiplies it. The world often teaches people to seek revenge when they are hurt, but revenge rarely creates peace. More often, it keeps old wounds alive. The greatest victory is not making others suffer. The greatest victory is reaching a point where they no longer occupy space in your mind. Imagine how much energy becomes available when you stop replaying old arguments, when you stop obsessing over people who no longer matter, when you stop carrying emotional baggage that was never yours to keep. That energy can be invested elsewhere, into learning, into growth, into relationships that bring value rather than pain. Your life changes dramatically when your focus shifts from what was lost to what can still be built. Many people underestimate the power of small daily actions. A single day may seem insignificant, but years are built from days, and destinies are built from years. Every time you choose discipline over excuses, courage over fear, and growth over comfort, you become slightly stronger than you were before. Strength rarely arrives all at once. It is built quietly through countless decisions that nobody else sees. The strongest person in the room is often not the loudest. It is often the one who has learned to master themselves. Self-mastery means refusing to let emotions dictate every decision. It means acting according to values rather than impulses. When you master yourself, other people lose much of their ability to disturb your peace. Their actions remain theirs. Your peace remains yours. This is the point many people spend years searching for. Not a life free from difficulty, but a mind that remains steady despite difficulty. The world becomes less threatening when you stop expecting perfection from it. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will change. Life will remain unpredictable. Yet within that uncertainty lies a powerful truth. You are more adaptable than you think, more resilient than you realize, more capable than your fears would have you believe. Nothing changes the moment you hear this message. Change begins when you apply it. Knowledge alone is not enough. Transformation requires action. The next time someone insults you, pause. The next time life disappoints you, breathe. The next time fear tries to stop you, move forward anyway. Because the goal is not to become someone who never feels pain. The goal is to become someone who is no longer controlled by it. And when that day arrives, something extraordinary happens. Nothing and nobody can truly hurt you again. Not because life becomes easier, but because you finally discover that your greatest strength was within you all along. If this message resonated with you, remember this. Peace is not something you find. It is something you build. One thought, one decision, and one day at a time. The moment you stop giving the world control over your inner state is the moment you become truly free. Subscribe to Mind After Dark for more psychology, philosophy, self-mastery, and human behavior documentaries.